first city I lived in, when I moved to China the first time, I went back to Guiyang. And in Guiyang, it's not very international. There's not that many foreigners, really. So basically, I kind of just had to like figure out everything myself because I worked for a training center, and the training center weren't always great at getting things done. So it was mostly me just like stumbling around until I figured out things that worked or where to buy things. So it was a bit rough for like the first month or two. But I also had, I had made some Chinese friends, so they would help out a lot. And the Chinese people are quite friendly once you get to know them. So, just make a few Chinese friends, they'll do everything for you if you need help.
Cool.
As far as cultural stuff goes,
I guess you already had a grasp of the
I
cultural
already kind of had a grasp by the time I got here. And it always sounds kind of dumb to say it, but like China, there's a lot of people in China. And I think people don't quite grasp that until they get to China, how like crowded it can get. Or at least I didn't, because my hometown only had like 5,000 people in it. So then once you're there and like living that every day, where you're just constantly surrounded, it can be a bit like jarring. I think that's probably the biggest one.
Is it something that you've sort of got used to now then, or do you?
Oh no, not at all.
You still not used to that?
Still not used to it. Still, the metro during rush hour is like the bane of my existence. Just every day going to work.
I would say just trying to figure out what the heck was going on around me. Obviously, the cities in China are much larger than many cities around the world. So I had to adapt to city transportation, how to take the metro, little things like reloading my metro card, and I think the most obvious is the language barrier as well.
Okay. Did you find it difficult to communicate with the Chinese locals when you first came?
Not at my school because the local teachers speak English, obviously. Other locals, it can be difficult at times, especially in a city like Hangzhou, where it's not quite as Western as somewhere like Shanghai or Beijing would be, because they're more global cities. They have a lot more international trade and commerce. So for Hangzhou, every now and then you find someone who can speak a moderate to a pretty good amount of English that's willing to help you out. But there are other times that I really just had to rely on the accuracy of translation apps, which is not always fantastic.
Yeah, so my first sort of like 24 hours in China, it was quite difficult to start off with, like with the culture and language barriers. It was definitely more challenging than I originally thought it was. I thought there'd be a lot more English speakers out here, but there really wasn't. But once I started getting to know the like foreigner community, it's like coming a bit easier now. You meet people who have been here for years. You can speak the language, who tells you the ins and outs of what to do, what not to do, where to eat, and those who can translate for you as well. So that got a bit easier.
What kind of cultural differences did you feel initially when you came?
How busy it was. That was a big one. Like, I obviously know China is a busy country, but yeah, getting on the metro, getting on the buses, that was the biggest culture shock. Where I used to live as well, used to be a massive area, and it was just full of these tiny little roads, these tiny little restaurants, really loud. But yeah, you sort of like, I was pushed in at the deep end there, which definitely helped me in my last 2 years.
It's China. It's got a reputation, obviously, for having too many people. Everybody's in your face. It's like a constant barrage, and that's not true, but it doesn't affect you as much as you think it would. There are a lot of little oases amongst the city that you can go to where like it's peaceful and you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Can you tell me something?
You want me to? Oh yeah. I mean, obviously, the place we have right here, Tristan's. That's like day one. That was started by an expat named Tristan in some random dude's apartment, and it slowly evolved into a full-blown restaurant that everybody goes to. 13 Factories is another really good one, started by a man named Justin, who makes this really good, what's the mix? What food mixes does he do?
Cajun.
Yeah.
Cajun Southern Comfort.
Yeah, Cajun and Southern Comfort. That is like the mac and cheese there is just out of this world. It's really, really nice. Me personally, I really like Iron Mountain. It's like a small place in the middle of the city that has temples, bungee jumping if you're into that kind of thing, and just like trees everywhere you look. It's relaxing.
Nice.
Very nice.
Cool.